Yeah, excited. It was a long off season, not much driving too, which was new. I think last year we all of us kind of had a little bit more with the hybrid stuff, but yeah, I won't drive the IndyCar from Nashville to
Uh-huh.
the Open Test in the middle of February before we go to St. Pete. But excited to get going. Excited to drive, some IMSA cars as well as we get prepped for Daytona. But yeah, it was actually a nice off season.
What changes are in store for you, or is it pretty much steady she goes?
No, I think there'll be a fair few changes. Obviously, the team goes from five back down to three. I think in all fairness, that will help a lot. I think in just attention to detail and getting back to basics a little bit. Plus, I think they were a little stressed on people and size of the team and things like that. Obviously, a new partnership with Maya Shank. So it's obviously fun to work with Armstrong again, and obviously my old teammate Felix. So looking forward to that combo. But yeah, I think personnel-wise, there'll be a fair few changes, kind of around the board and the team, and just with how they've restructured and starting an Indy Lights team. Chip's got a lot of things going on, so it's fun to be a part of, but excited for the season to kick off.
Chip always has a lot of things going
Oh
on.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
all right, we'll begin with questions in person, and I see some questions already raised hands on Zoom, so we'll get to you time permitting. Let's start here with Nathan, then we'll go Steve, and then Bruce, and then Tony in the back.
Scott, you made reference to it a little bit last year, having 5 full-time cars. I know you guys will still have 5 engineers involved in the team with the 2 cars that some CGR folks will be looking after it at MSR. But now that you had some distance from it, was the experience like having 5, or I guess 4 plus you, 4 guys that you were working with, and debriefs, and just the way that the team moved through the 2024 campaign?
The 5, like debriefs, I think, could go a bit crazy, but they didn't. It was actually, I think the group that we had was well balanced. I think the team had done a great job in bringing, some pretty good structure to it. They were well managed, especially the meetings. So I think you kind of going into the season, you kind of imagined how things could go poorly, but it didn't. I think honestly with 5 cars, the team did a great job. It's just, sometimes some areas, lack a little bit, or cataloging things don't work as well. You don't have enough, the same amount of parts maybe that are in, rotation and things like that. I know for the crews it was kind of difficult, especially with how, the season is structured, and those summer months are pretty brutal, but luckily we didn't have too much damage throughout the season as well, and that made the back-to-back races and testing pretty seamless.
In moving from 5 to 3, as you referenced, this team takes over a new technical partnership with Maya Shank Racing. You guys add an Indy Lights team. It's this team that has just kind of continued to evolve, it seems like, especially over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and what Chip is involved in and out of IMSA, out of NASCAR. And as that has been going on, you guys just continue to rattle off championships as a team between you and Alex, 4 out of the last 5, and I think 5 out of the last 7. What is so important about this team in the ways in which the group that Chip and Mike have assembled can perform at such a high level with all different things that you guys are involved in?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. I think it comes down to the people. Obviously you have structure in the way that you manage it, and there's obviously a lot of great people at the top, but the key part is the people. And I think even as you mentioned, kind of cutting from over to the IMSA programs, kind of dipping in and dipping out. And, I know Chip's, sad that he's not, going to be at Daytona this year, and hopefully they're working on some progress for that. Indy Lights is kind of a revisit thing from, I don't even know when that was, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. So that's exciting. I think that's big for obviously the growth of the team, and also making sure you hold on to the talent that you had for whether they decide to, make a change later down the road as well. But I think it's the mentality. It's Chip is, as I always say, one of the most competitive people I know, and having that right from the top, I think goes a long way. But they also create opportunity from our partners that enabled us to dig deep and get what we need to do, and get what we need to get done to help us do that. But it's a great environment to be involved in.
And as you've been on the doorstep of championship number 7 the last couple years, and you had a chance to reflect on 2024, where were some of the places that either you or the team fell short or just lost bits of points here or there that left you out of serious contention for the championship once we got down to the last couple races of the year?
Yeah, it was a trying year. I think we led kind of the first half of the season, and then just, it kind of went to shit. No, it's we had some little mistakes. We had kind of an issue with the tire at Road America. Then we had a hybrid failure at Mid Ohio. Then crashed out in Portland. The list kind of goes on. So it was just it was a bit of a rough end to the season, and one that you could have made some changes, and a lot of things were really just out of our control as well. So those things definitely make you stronger, I think, going into the season. But I think as a whole, the team ran well. I think our short track oval stuff needed some attention. Road courses were okay. Street courses, fundamentally as a group, qualifying wise wasn't great. Race pace was decent. So we definitely have some big areas and some low hanging fruit, I think, where we can make some big shifts and some big changes for a positive effect. And looking forward to that.
You feel like you're every bit a part of you having a shot with the group that you have together of pursuing that number 7 championship in 2025?
Yeah, I think you just, it's all about execution and obviously preparation. Last year, I think we prepared quite well. Execution was maybe not so great on many levels. So, I think the great thing about this series, and also the hardest thing about this series, is just how competitive it is. It's brutal. So you miss a little bit or give up a couple of races, and you're really not going to be in it. So you got to finish all the races. You've got to be quick. You've got to be quick on all disciplines. It's tight right now, really tight, which is great for everybody to watch.
Steve.
Yep. Ross moved over to MSR. So do you know who your engineer is going to be? Can you tell us?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can say.
Okay.
I can?
I don't know. Can you?
Oh, I can't say, apparently. Someone that's been there for a long time.
So Brad. Brad.
Oh, I don't know. He could be.
All right. All right. You got it. Have you had a chance to see the new Fox commercial with Josef? And have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. I saw like it flick past, but I haven't watched the whole thing. So
okay.
Yeah.
Just want to get your take on that, but since you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I hope it's great.
Okay.
Yeah. Fox is going to be a great partner, so I'm looking forward to that.
Bruce and then Tony after that.
I'm going to follow up a little bit more on the Fox question. You've been through a lot of TV partners here in your IndyCar career. When you see the level of engagement and promotion and marketing that they're putting into the product, how excited does that make you? And how much is this just what IndyCar needs?
Yeah, I think it's big. I think that's kind of what you always ask, even from partners in the past, and sometimes it would kind of click and sometimes it wouldn't. But it seems like out of the gate, they're really excited. They're wanting to make this bigger and better, which is what you really want from partners. So I'm excited for it. I think, a lot of the sports side of it, whether it's been with the NFL or other forms of sports throughout the year or throughout kind of the off season, has been exciting to see. So, a lot of things in the works. I haven't done any of the sets yet today, but I've heard they're pretty extensive, which is exciting too. But yeah, just hope they can blow this thing up, man, and be great for everyone.
And also, you've been through a lot of ups and downs in IndyCar as an organization, from some pretty lean years where they weren't really getting much attention at all. And now it really seems like there's a lot of momentum. The Grand Prix of Arlington that's going to happen in 2026, new car on the drawing board, maybe being developed. How satisfied are you to see all of this finally starting to take hold?
Super excited. I think excited for the future of the sport. I think we've, as a group, everybody in here has always, seen what the product is. I think getting it in front of, new eyeballs has always been the key. And especially now, I think with the reach that, many sports have had, I think, even if you refer to the F1 thing, I think that's helping all racing entities at the moment. So excited for that, and I think it was a great time, to have that switch with Fox. They're really going to embrace it. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I hope it's going to be big.
Tony.
You mentioned teammates earlier. You've worked with and been teammates with some of the best in IndyCar history. You add Elio Castroneves to that coming up in the month of May. How excited are you looking forward to, or how excited are you look forward to working with him?
Yeah, I never actually thought about that. Just in the fact that I hadn't got to that portion of the season, but no, it's going to be fun actually. I think with Elio, I've known Elio for 25 or more years with racing against him, so never at a capacity, and especially at Indy, I think where he's a 4-time champion, so it's going to be exciting to see what they do, how he works, that race just by itself. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I know that with Elio, it's always a lot of fun, just hanging with him. But yeah, excited to see his insight of what's made him so successful at the Speedway.
What continues to drive Scott Dixon? I think your son's starting to get into racing a little bit more now too, and I think maybe had a go-kart or a pedal kart. But what continues to drive Scott Dixon forward here? And it's been 25 years since you won the Indy Lights Championship. Indy Next. That's kind of unfathomable to think about. You're still on top of your game 25 years later.
I think again, it's just the competition. It sucks to get beat, and I hate it. So I think that's what drives you. As I've always said, it's weird how you don't really think too much about the championships you won. It's always the ones that you kind of lost, and even kind of going to a different level about the races that you lost over certain things, or just not getting it right. So the fire burns strong, man. So it's I'm looking forward to get after it for another year.
Let's go Eric, and then Ben, and then David after that. Go ahead, Eric.
Speaking of sucks to get beat, do you feel, we talked about Alex, going for 3 in a row, and Josef going for 3 Indy 500s in a row. Do you feel like we're overlooking Scott Dixon, a 6-time champion, and we're not? Are we going to wake a sleeping giant and come September?
No, yeah, I'm fine with flying under the radar, man. That's what I love the most. So yeah, just keep those guys working flat out. That sounds good to me.
And speaking of the champions, I feel like this championship has been won in several different ways lately. I mean, you look at Alex last year and Will a couple years before that, but then Alex had 5-6 wins the season between that. How much out of your 6, and now we are going into your 25th season, has winning this championship evolved? And how do you balance the aggression versus taking a good points day, knowing that you almost have to be perfect to win this title now?
Yeah, it's definitely played, I think, into how we've won some championships throughout the years. Even looking back to Dario's championships, where consistency is key. I think my first championship, I DNF'd 6 races. I think there was only 16 races that season too, and only finished 10 of them, but still won it. You couldn't do that these days. It's not even possible. So. Yeah, you've really just got to, if you're having a bad day, you've got to get the most out of it. And Alex, I think him and the 10-car team last year was a huge testament to that. His rough weekends, where they just, one maybe had an issue in qualifying or something, but were still able to pull out a top 5 or a top 4, is those are the days that win you the championship. So, I think the both of us only had 2 wins last year. But still, for him to come away with the championship and go into the last race with a pretty healthy, Will made it a little bit easier for him, I think, with the Milwaukee situation. But it just showed that consistency last year was definitely, and you must finish well. They did a great job, a really good job.
Ben, then David. Ben.
Hey Scott, happy New Year.
Happy New
Year. Scott, you mentioned earlier about the execution in terms of kind of getting results and stuff for heading into this year. In terms of the team dynamic, how do you think that's going to change in terms of how the team runs kind of on a day-to-day basis?
Day-to-day stuff I don't think will change much. I think at track presence may be a little bit different, just with groups and how they're structured, I think, throughout. I think some of those details still haven't kind of been defined yet. I think once we get kind of closer to February test, we'll understand a little bit more to that. But, you're not going to change something that's working, right? The team's still been winning championships. You can kind of take that to a different level on, which, stand or which group of people that you're working with on your own, the 9 car or the 10 car or the 8, things like that. There'll definitely be some changes, I think, on that front. But, I think as far as how the group works, we'll stay pretty similar.
Excellent. And in terms of like the races this year, outside of the Indy 500, which are you most looking forward to?
The first one, St. Pete. I want to win that one.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks.
David. Barber.
Yeah, Iowa, Barber. There's a few of them, man. There's a few of them. Thanks for that.
Thanks for that reminder. David Land.
Bruce mentioned it. Something I think we're all looking forward to in hopefully 2027 is the new formula. What boxes as a driver does that new formula need to check?
I don't know. I haven't heard much about the whole new formula or what's coming or if anything's coming. I know there's a car supposedly happening in 27, but
have you seen it?
Nobody's even asked me about it, so I have no idea. Okay. I wouldn't even know. Yeah, I wouldn't know if it's going to have 2 wheels or 3 wheels or.
Well, so what would you improve versus the current car? If you were developing a new chassis, what would your wish list be?
The weight. I'm sure everybody says that, but that I think will make raceability a lot better. It will, give the tire some breathing window as well. The look definitely needs to be updated. I think as far as the driver situation, I don't even know if they're going to introduce power steering. Like those are some things that, even junior categories have now where we don't, and that would help, especially with a lot of wrist and hand injuries. So on a safety side, I think that would be pretty big. You don't want to change too much because the fundamentals work really well. It's a great racing series. I think we're very lucky to do what we do. I would like to see more power. The car's kind of degraded over the years as far as if you look for a power to weight situation. The first car I drove in kart was 1,000 horsepower and probably, several hundred pounds lighter. So if they could get back to a faster car, it would be kind of cool. A lot of circuits we go to are only maybe a couple of seconds quicker than in an Indy Next car. So, yeah.
Something that I remember you mentioning probably a year or two ago, specifically about the super speedway racing, is that the current car is maybe too aero efficient. Could you kind of expand on that a little bit? Everybody's in the same box, right? Like you kind of, even, if you're going to, there's just not much adjustability. I think, the days of, obviously the extreme was the body kit, the aero kit days where, you had a lot of pieces that you could put on or take off, and I think that made the variables much bigger between how you started the race to where cars kind of finished at the end. I remember a Texas race, and everybody was laughing at us starting at the front, in the middle of the pack with a loaded downforce on. We nearly lapped the whole field, but they're like, "Oh, you got way too much downforce; it's going to be so slow." But that was kind of cool because everybody was on a different kind of strategy as far as downforce versus drag. So, I think some changeability would be kind of nice. Some areas maybe for a little bit of development. At the minute you can't do anything really apart from dampers and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of different windows. But again, I have no idea what the car is even going to be. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm hearing it's going to be like a Tyrrell, like a six-wheel car.
I'll be up for that.
So
let's do it.
Maybe.
Some good front grip right there.
I don't know. Rumor has it. We have one more, and then we'll get to David Turner offline. Go ahead, Kurt.
Back to the question about Elio. Have you ever had a situation where you were in strategic conversations with Elio? Sports cars, anything? Have you worked with him?
No, not at all.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, I'm trying to think, because even I thought maybe with Daytona this year, maybe he was going to be in that lineup as well, and then things changed with other things he had coming. So, yeah, no, I haven't. I've heard stories, but,
One more, David Turner. What time is it where you are, David?
Just about 5 o'clock in the morning, actually, but it's the things I do for Mr. Dixon.
Here we go.
Could have just called me later, man.
Scott, I just wondered a little bit more about the MSR relationship. Obviously, you got Armstrong there now, which, was at Ganassi last year. Felix has been there before. Do these factors come into play in that relationship? Like, is it just a technical thing, or will that, come up in debriefs and they know Ganassi, so will that impact things?
I think it makes it a little bit easier. Obviously, for Marcus, it's kind of seamless, right? Because he has the same kind of engineering group, so that kind of just goes with him, which is great. And actually, most of his interaction, as far as I don't even know. I haven't seen him actually today, but whether he's still living in India, I imagine he is, because then he would just come to the Ganassi shop as usual to debrief and all that kind of stuff. Felix has been out of the mix for a little bit, but obviously knows many of the people. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier, I think, one for them, but also for us in a debrief situation. So yeah, I think it's for Marcus obviously pretty seamless, and then for Felix, not much has changed since I think he was here.
He was actually here on Monday testing his dad's Porsche at Hampton Downs, but he's on his way back to the States. So there you go.
Good problem.
And then just the other thing, you kind of touched on it before, and we know, this is all about winning, and winning counts. But the motivation factor for you, 24, maybe 25 years in, I look back at when we were first together in the Indy Lights days and stuff like that. Do you still wake up with that urge to get on in there and be amongst the team and get that car to the front? What gives you that each morning?
I don't know. It just, I think it's wanting to, obviously season's different, and then how that, kind of goes into the next, season. But for me, this year I want to make the best year yet. It's just working on the issues that you maybe had last year in preparation, and to, maybe the situations that we had at different races. Some, again, as I said, are out of your control, but you can also try and make things a lot better. So yeah, again, it's just the competitiveness, I think, side for me, for the team, for my wife. It's winning, man. It's all about winning. I think that's definitely what makes me wake up in the morning and want to, go train harder, and be better for the season.
I spoke to Jim Leo once, and he said at the age that, you're at now, by comparison to, say, an Armstrong or something, the level of commitment and training is actually stronger now from you than what it was back then, just to be on par with those guys. Do you feel that?
Yeah, you have more structure in your older life. I remember my younger years, you got a lot of different things that you do. So, I don't know. It just, I guess, what is important at the time, right? And I think racing has always been extremely important for me. It's that's what drives me every day. And you need to be, at this level, you need to be committed. So yeah, Marcus is very much that way as well. It's these long off seasons, man. You got too much time to think about stuff.
Yeah. And just finally, I'll let you go. The relationship, obviously, on the stand, and having Mike Hull there again, just how important is that consistency for you with someone like him there? You've been together as a combo for a long time. Does that, when it comes to the judgment calls, do you feel better knowing that sort of relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always, Mike and I have had some amazing days and some not so amazing days, throughout, which is obviously, what happens in racing. But yeah, excited for the new year. I know he is. Some things will change on the stand, this year. So we'll see how that plays out. But I love working with Mike. He's been an amazing part of, obviously, Chip's team for many years, even before me. So I'm looking forward to it. He's in a great place right now, and obviously, having that confidence with him there is huge.